this short-term versus long-term for me is problematic because it's not an either or, it's both. Because you need, and more people are talking about brand building. Brand building takes time.
Sure.
It's not short-term. So you need to look at the long-term plus the short-term.
Yeah.
So it's about measuring both. When you're building brand, where are people perceiving your brand to be, and are you building that brand after 6 months, you re-interview, you see what's happening, and you measure it against that.
How does marketing continue to shift business, influence culture, and grow brands? To get insights on these and many other questions, we had the privilege of attending the IMC conference, which was themed Marketing is Business. In this IMC conference series, we spoke to creative industry thought leaders where we asked them some of the most pressing business questions. For actionable insights which can shift your brand communication, stay tuned.
So joining us on our hot seat of insights this morning is the CEO of Onico, Oresti Patricios, who finally made the time to talk to us here on The Lead Creative.
Thank you for inviting me, Mongezi. It's about time I get onto your podcast, yeah? Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Oresti, you've been in monitoring and measurement for 41 years as Onico. And it feels like in recent years, things have changed rapidly. I know you've been following AI for a long time before the world adopted generative AI. You've been on this journey for a long time. What has changed a lot in recent times in terms of measurement or the focus on measurement in marketing?
Well, let's be honest. The basics never change. The basics are the basics.
Right.
And the basics are that marketing's there to drive business growth at the end of the day. And so you're doing marketing so that you can grow your business, to increase sales and the rest of it. So that doesn't change. But obviously the way people are looking at marketing, and because it's been so fragmented, it becomes a lot more difficult. And so you need to look at it and see, okay, who's your audience? Where do you need to look at? Because before there was only one television station, no matter what you did, you just placed your ad on that TV, whereas now there's a lot of options.
Sure.
So I think that's what's changed dramatically, and things are moving a lot quicker. I mean, when I started in 1984, I used to take a script, send it to SABC. They used to approve it, come back. There's none of that.
Yes.
It's like things have moved a lot quicker.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can feel it. I'm sure all of us feel how much quicker the world is moving.
That's it. And I think the one of the things that came up in one of our conversations, in fact, episode before this event that we recorded with Chris Moraine of the IAB, I think, is this the rise of programmatic marketing. How are you seeing programmatic marketing affecting, at least programmatic advertising affecting measurement, or what brands are kind of looking for from a measurement perspective? Because it's hard to know what time slots your ad is going to be aired and all of that, right? So how has that shifted the industry?
Yeah, look, programmatic buying just does it so much easier.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's one thing, but that's what becomes so important from a measurement perspective, because you do this programmatic buying and it goes out to all wherever it is. That's where you need the measurement afterwards. What are your objectives, and are you reaching it, so that you can actually change it and adapt it to where you want to actually advertise, and make sure that your messaging is getting to the right audience. But again, besides all that, what's really critical is that what are the company objectives? And are those businesses aligning? So you can do programmatic buying, but are you doing it according to what your objectives are and according to what the C-suite objectives are at the end of the day? And I think those are all the important bits.
What has shot up measurement so much in the psyche or consciousness of marketing? One of the things is that's being discussed a lot is effectiveness, marketing effectiveness, right? So I think that is perhaps could be one of the levers. Is it that? But why is it that measurement has become so much more important when you've been talking about measurement, like I said, for a long time, and yet it seems to be catching on? What was that tipping point?
So measurement doesn't necessarily mean that because you're measuring, you're going to be effective. So I don't think they correlate.
Okay.
But I think what is important about measurement is now the CFOs asking questions.
Okay.
Businesses are struggling to to build budgets. Marketing departments are struggling to get those budgets.
Yes.
So now they need to go back to the CFO and say, okay, guys, this is what we did. This is the results that we ultimately got. And that helps them be able to build those budgets. But also, I think there's accountability, and they need to, people want to be able to account to what's ultimately happening.
And I think these questions being asked by CFOs that you mentioned are somewhat evident in some of the discussions or some of the results that we are seeing, where some brands seem to be, and I'm not saying the two are related, directly related, but some brands are performing not as good at awards and things like that, because one of the conversations is that the campaigns are very short term in their approach, because people are trying to are leaning more into performance marketing and leaning more into the short term approach to it, so that they try to get the bottom line or increase the bottom line quicker. How has the short term approach or short termism appearing in measurement or as you measure brands? And what's short term? What's too short to be short term, or short enough to be short term? And what's long enough to be long term? What's the data saying that you're seeing?
You could, a short term could be a quick retail ad to, you know what I'm saying, that the guys want to just quickly sell some stuff off the shelf. But this short term versus long term for me is problematic, because it's not an either or.
Right.
It's both. Because you need, and more people are talking about brand building.
I hear you.
Brand building takes time.
Sure.
It's not short term. So you need to look at the long term plus the short term.
Yeah.
So it's about measuring both. When you're building brand, where are people perceiving your brand to be, and are you building that brand after 6 months? You re-interview, you see what's happening, and you measure it against that. But also against short-term objectives, in that you do some tactical advertising, and you want to kind of see certain sales uptick because you've got too much stock of something. Whatever it is, you need to balance both. That's what's important.
What are some of the trends in measurement that marketers should be looking out for?
Well, the trends are that people want, and again, as I said in the beginning, I don't think marketing has changed. Emotions are important. Trust is important. All those are important. You can see it in the numbers. But I think what we need to also look at, when you ask me about trends, I think it's also important what's not trending.
Right.
Okay? And that's something like vanity metrics. You can see those vanity metrics now people are starting to look at it and say, okay, if I've got an increase in my followers, what does that mean?
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
yes.
Am I getting the right followers? Aren't I getting the right followers, etc.? So vanity metrics is a non-trend at the end of the day.
I get that. Oresti, we have a question that we ask our guests to leave for our next guest. And one of our previous guests was Steve Vabaiko, CEO of Extreme Ideas. And this question for me to you is interesting because I know also about your passion for the continent, your passion for growing the continent and growing industries in the continent. So Steve Vabaiko raised a pressing issue about how difficult it is for African creatives to move freely across the continent compared to those in Western parts of the world, in the West. So the question he left was, what can we do as a continent to enable free mobility of creativity across Africa so that collaboration and growth aren't hindered by visa barriers?
Okay, so, and I agree with him. I mean, you want to try and get to Senegal from Nigeria, and it's closer than South Africa, and you have to go via another country. So I get what he's saying. But I think this is a twofold question. Because of technology, sometimes you don't need those visas to actually be able to collaborate. I think collaboration becomes really important. But I think we as people need to push our governments to drop those visas, become visa-free within Africa, making sure that our airlines are actually flying to countries, our transportations become a lot easier. Because yes, we can collaborate online, but I think sometimes the personal side, sitting together around a coffee, around a table, eating dinner, lunches, whatever it is, actually brings out those incredible creative results at the end of the day. So visas need to be broken down, and we need to push it. And as a creative industry, we've got the ear and the ear of the media.
Yes.
Why don't we do some campaigns across the continent to actually tell our governments to actually allow us to be visa free?
Mobility.
Yeah,
that free
because mobility is important.
Because I think what you're saying is very interesting when you think of, I suppose, what happened at Cannes recently, where we started seeing a collaboration of South African agencies with brands and agencies from outside South Africa. For instance, one of the Gold Lions was won by a South African agency for KFC Thailand, working in Thailand. So it's very interesting to kind of see how well our creativity and creative talent travels.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see how we use that in the African context to develop Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been a board member of PAMRO for a long time. And that's one of the things we want to try through PAMRO, to try and get this continent engaging, collaborating with data, with research, with that kind of stuff as well. Because that drives, drives that creativity as well, because data does help drive some of that creativity.
Yes. Now, Rusty, over to you. So you also get to ask a question to our next guest about their thoughts on creativity, marketing, the industry, or life for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, again, it'll be a question around Africa at the end of the day, because I am, as you know, passionate about Africa, and it's about how can we use our influence to change the perceptions of Africa. Because I think what I find is that the Americans tell our stories. Al Jazeera tells our stories. CNN tells our stories, but we don't tell our stories. And we need to be able to tell our stories. I've traveled, as you know,
Yes.
I've traveled to 18 countries in Africa, and what you see on the media is not what
You experience
what you experience on the ground. So how do we tell our stories? And that's critical.
How do we tell our stories? Oresti, thank you so much. What a privilege to have you here.
Thanks.
Thank you for making time.
It's been an honor to be on it, and I'm glad I've joined this. It was great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.